Hi, this is Stephen Beschloss with America, America.
And this is Mark Jacob with the Stop the Presses newsletter.
And this is On Target.
Today we want to talk about all this torrent of insane appointments that Donald Trump's making, and how the fact that he's done so many so fast means that many of them may fly under the radar. And one that we're particularly worried about is the new IRS commissioner, Billy Long, a former
With the
Congress.
a potential appointment of.
Yes, exactly. Well, yeah. Well, he appointed him. Let's see what happens. He's got to be approved,
Right.
and yeah, and what's Stephen? That's another thing about this is that we're in a tough situation where, because there's such a torrent of nominations, and many of them awful, that you may have members of the Senate decide that, well, we'll approve, we'll stop the worst three and let the rest of them go through. So we're in a kind of a messy situation here.
It's a
So
deluge.
yeah, exactly. So, all right. So, Billy Long, former Missouri representative, he's being named, according to Trump, he wants him as IRS commissioner. Well, in three different sessions of Congress, Billy Long co-sponsored a bill to abolish the IRS, to get rid of the income tax and have a 30% sales tax, which would be just a delight to the super rich.
Yeah.
And so, and I mean,
Utterly regressive.
yes, utterly regressive. So, what are your thoughts about Billy Long? I bet they're the same as mine.
Well, I mean, so we were sort of activated by an article in the New Republic
Right.
by Timothy Noah, and a very good piece, which I want to acknowledge because it really takes the time to lace out some context and tell us the history of this individual. As Timothy Noah says, very much up at the top, it's another fox being brought in to guard the henhouse. I mean, this is a guy, exactly as you say, who had tried three different times in Congress to abolish the income tax. He also was a co-sponsor of a bill to repeal the estate tax, with the plan to replace it with nothing. And the thing is, you can all these things. People don't love paying taxes. People don't love any of it. But if you want a functioning government, you actually need revenues to be able to function. And use the estate tax as an example. It's $269 billion that would disappear were that to be dismantled, repealed. And so it represents this guy and the impetus of the guy who appointed him, who wants him in the office, is to essentially minimize any taxes, particularly by the richest Americans. And who will that hurt? Well, it'll hurt people who rely on the basic programs of the government for their survival and their well-being.
Right. And so this, what's being set up now is a real oligarch government, where you have, what by some count, nearly 2 dozen billionaires having been named to positions in, Trump's government. I mean, it's the rich people taking over and deciding that they're going to do what's best for the rich people, and it's incredibly alarming. And it's the number one priorities of the Republican Party now seems to be to prevent super wealthy people from having to pay taxes. And did they get elected for that? Unfortunately, they got elected for some reason I can't figure out. But people need to wake up to the fact that this is a class warfare, and the warfare is against the people. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what's going on right now.
I mean, if Trump succeeds, with the backing of Congress to pass to another 10 years of his tax cut, which cost about $2 trillion, and was part of a $7.8 trillion amount that was added to the national debt the last time. The calculation is, if that goes through for another 10 years, which essentially serves the interests of the richest Americans, it will add another 4.6 trillion to the national debt.
You know,
So these
and
people
then Stephen,
will,
what they're going to do after that is they're going to say, "Oh, we don't have any money. We got to balance the budget, so we're going to cut Social Security and Medicare."
right,
That's what
right,
they'll
you
do
are.
next.
And they want to. And so, a guy like Billy Long, I mean, whatever actually his intentions are, I mean, he was an auctioneer by background. When he left Congress a year or two ago, he found a way to con the program that allowed people to get money from the government. I won't take the time to sort of detail that. I mean,
Timothy
this is
Noah's
a
story
guy
does
who's
a good job
been
on that. Yeah.
right. He's been self-serving in all kinds of ways. It's another fox in the henhouse, and again, it's easy to miss these guys because there's so many of them. The challenge will be for us to sustain our outrage, and Mark, you and I have talked about this, to sustain our outrage one by one as these
Right.
people move forward through the confirmation
Yeah,
process.
I mean, we got to keep our values, and we have to recognize this is not normal. The IRS commissioner is supposed to serve for another few years until 2027, but
Right.
but just like everything else, Trump the rules don't count for Trump.
Right.
So he's doing that. So, but you know what? We still believe in rules and in a democratic government, and we've got to keep on showing that.
Yeah. So the what can I say? The the battle goes on.
Yeah. Talk to you next time.
See you then.